Happy 420 Marijuana Nation. I hope everyone out there has a safe and happy high holiday on this fine Friday. This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by our friends over at Ease, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery. Ease.com is the place to go when you want to find top quality, fully state law compliant cannabis product for delivery. If you live in California, swing over to Ease.com to see if they're active in your area. The big, exciting recent news from Ease is that they're now servicing the city of Los Angeles. If you're in LA, you could be just a few clicks away from getting your Ease order going. With most deliveries taking place in an hour or less, you're just a couple episodes of The Simpsons away from having Ease show up at your door with whatever product you picked out. Harness the power of quick and legal marijuana delivery in California by opening up ease.com, which is spelled E-A-Z-E. That's ease.com. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Friday, April 20th, 2018, and you're tuned in to episode 473 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Our top story this fine 420 is the news that U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont is signing on as a co-sponsor of Senator Cory Booker's Marijuana Justice Act, which would legalize adult use marijuana nationwide while also imposing financial penalties on states that maintain regressive marijuana laws and those that continue to show racial disparities in arrest rates for cannabis charges. Swing over to Tom Angel's piece on Forbes for all the details on this one and to see a video of Senators Sanders and Booker talk about the need to legalize marijuana in a Facebook Live chat held yesterday. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer of New York has announced that he will introduce legislation to effectively decriminalize marijuana on the federal level. Senator Schumer's bill will be officially introduced into the Senate today, no doubt to take advantage of the natural buzz around April 20th, and would clear states to experiment with legalizing marijuana for adult use or medical purposes without worrying about federal officials cracking down on them. It would be more or less an extension of the Rohrabacher-Blumenauer Amendment that would include adult use and that would be enshrined as law rather than as a continuing funding resolution. We'll certainly keep this one on our legislative radar and we'll report back with any relevant updates. Rounding out our top stories today is a piece by the Washington Post that dives into the sad story of this year's High Times Cannabis Cup, which led our headlines yesterday after being denied a permit allowing for the on-site use and sale of marijuana for this weekend's 3 days of Cannabis Cup festivities. The Washington Post's story nicely details the actual meeting held on Wednesday, during which the San Bernardino City Council voted 6-0 in favor of denying High Times their necessary permits. It's a decent read. Right now, there's a lot of word bouncing around social media about the Cannabis Cup being canceled, but as of today, High Times says the show will go on, just without cannabis vending. This one could get more interesting as the weekend rolls on, so we might be back with updates next week. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz it in headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, Ease, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery. With today being April 20th, also known as 420, the official high holiday of marijuana consumers everywhere, it's probably not a bad idea to have a quick and easy way to restock your legal marijuana larder, should you be running dry. If you live in California and need to stock up on your holiday supply, just fire up ease.com to see if they're active in your local area. They only work with the top dispensaries in their active areas, so you'll only find high quality, fully tested, and state law compliant products available for delivery on ease.com, which is spelled E-A-Z-E. Make sure you're ready for today's festivities and for all of life's tomorrows over at ease.com. And as always, ease.com/blog is a great place to go for industry insight and analysis. That's ease.com and ease.com/blog. All right, time for the blitz. Alicia Wallace over at the Cannabist picked up on a new report released by economists with the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City looking at the economic effects of legalized marijuana in Colorado. The report found that legal cannabis consumers' spending could be credited with generating $1.3 billion in economic activity out of the state's total of $236 billion during the year 2016. The industry is estimated to provide just over 18,000 people with full-time jobs in the state and generated $247 million in taxes for Colorado's coffers last year. Pop over to the Cannabist for the rest of the details on this one. A new poll out of New Jersey finds that 60% of polled respondents agree with their new Governor Phil Murphy that legalizing adult-use marijuana would be good for the state's economy. The poll was conducted by Monmouth University and released yesterday. Just 16% of those polled thought that legalizing marijuana would be bad for the state's economic prospects. That same poll found that 59% of New Jersey residents think that legalizing adult use is a good thing in general, up from less than 50% when they first started asking the question in 2014. A proposed bill under consideration in Ohio would audit the state's process for issuing marijuana business licenses after a number of controversies have sprung up in recent months over how applicants were scored and the people who did the scoring. State Senator Bill Cooley says his proposed plan wouldn't halt the rollout of Ohio's nascent medical marijuana system, set to open up by September of this year, but would rather allow provisional license holders to proceed with operational plans while the state Secretary of State's office conducts an audit to identify problems in the process and to come up with ways to fix them. In order for the plan to work, some expediting of legislation and tight deadlines on the audit would need to be imposed. A good one to click over for more details if you're interested in what's going on in Ohio. LeafLink is predicting that legal marijuana sales will crest above the $1 billion mark today, making it the first high holiday to see $1 billion or more in sales. LeafLink used some proprietary sales data from its platform to generate that estimate. The story is worth a click over, as it's generally a good idea to have a solid understanding on the buying habits of your average cannabis consumer, especially on big sales days like today. Leafly turned up an interesting story up in Canada, with the Supreme Court of Canada agreeing with New Brunswick in a case pitting the province against a man fined for transporting a large amount of alcohol across provincial lines, something that's generally against the law up north. The case has some relevance to cannabis in the implications it could have for moving marijuana from province to province once Canada starts rolling out nationwide adult use legalization later this year. The state of Alaska has some of the highest retail prices in the United States for just about every consumer good, but especially so for legal marijuana. Alaska taxes its legal cannabis highly at the cultivation level, so each pound of legal marijuana starts off life burdened with an $800 tax to the state. After production costs and profits are built in, prices of $20 a gram and higher have not been unheard of in Alaskan dispensaries. But thankfully, that situation appears to be easing a bit, at least according to reporting by the Anchorage Daily News, which has a story up about the falling price for legal marijuana in Alaska, where yesterday legal cannabis could be found for as low as $8.50 a gram. A boom in the number of registered cultivators is seen as the main reason for the shift in pricing. Another good one to open up in full. And finally for today, Deborah Borchardt over at Green Market Report pounced on an interesting detail found within the annual report filed earlier this week with the SEC by embattled cannabis company Massroots, who I covered recently for their stated loss of $44 million in 2017. Deborah noticed that Massroots founding CEO Isaac Dietrich, who publicly fought off an attempted coup last year by now fired executives and board members, gave himself a bonus of $190,659 on top of his annual salary of $96,971. Meaning he took home a total of $287,630, which isn't really that much when you consider his company lost $44 million that same year, right? Another interesting number out of the Massroots filing was $718,693, which was how much Massroots spent attending 50 different conferences over the year, or an average of just under $15,000 per conference. One of the smaller numbers found within the Massroots filing was their 2017 revenue, which came out to just $319,242, down 54% from the previous year, but still a little more than the amount Mr. Dietrich made. So there's that silver lining. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again Monday morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, Ease, and to all of our awesome Patreon listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the lesser ranks of the Patreon listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your 420 with Marijuana Today.
One take, Shay. One take.